Yeah, sounds great. Okay, so welcome. This is a partnership of Vancouver Island Regional Library and Vancouver Island Master Gardeners Association. We're so grateful that we have this partnership. We've been able to create a lot of videos that have a lot of views that live on our website and YouTube and share these knowledgeable folks' great wisdom about various wide-ranging garden-related topics and reach a lot of you that we wouldn't be able to see otherwise, which is fantastic. So this topic tonight was originally supposed to be smart water, which is incredibly relevant right now, but unfortunately the master gardener doing that had about three very significant life things happening, including having to move. So we've all moved. So Richard gallantly stepped in and said he'd trade months with Joe. So Smart Water is now in August, and we'd love to see you then. So you'll really be aware of the pitfalls of your watering system by the time Joe gets her hands on you. But that it'll still be great information. So Richard's going to talk about orchids tonight. And Richard is the brave organizer of all the master gardeners for the whole schedule. He's done this for several years now, and he also organizes Ginger and I at times too. So he's a great person to have to make this program happen. And I will tell you a little bit about Richard in a second. But the way this works is we have the webinar, only the panelists and the librarians are on the screen and Richard's presentation. You folks are totally anonymous. We ask you that you put your questions in the Q&A section. The meaty ones that Richard will answer at the end of his presentation. And any clarifying questions, like what did he say? Or like you can also get insert supply at blah in Mill Bay. Put that in the chat. That's a great contribution, and people really enjoy hearing that kind of practical advice from other gardeners. And yeah, we look forward to all of your questions in the Q&A at the end. Okay, I'm going to tell you a little bit about Richard. And oh, there he is. So Richard Brunet's gardening hobby started as a preteen when one of his elderly neighbors hired him for his first job helping them in their garden. They showed him which plants were weeds and directed him to a vegetable garden that really, really needed weeding. And then he gardened on and off until his teens when he discovered indoor plants. And that screen behind Richard is not a backdrop, that's his real house. So he started his journey in plant husbandry. The gardening bug had really bitten him. And then after he moved to the coast in 1994, he became enamored with the climate and developed a taste for exotic plants, both indoor and outdoor. So yeah. Richard, you built your house around your plant, didn't you?
Yeah, if you can
Like for
see that
real.
palm tree in there, the
Yeah.
house was built about, around it.
So this master gardener is very well qualified in his passion for tropical plants to be telling you about them. That's what I'm hearing. And we've got Ida joining us too. So I'll just tell you a little bit about Ida. Ida is from a large family with a mom who was raised on a mixed farm in Nova Scotia. And like her mom, she's always loved roses and curling. Spending 30 years in Calgary was a real challenge as far as roses went, but she managed to explore other plants that grow in that unpredictable climate. And it was a delight to retire to Qualicum Beach, where growing is not as challenging. Welcome, Ida. Thanks for being with us.
No problem. Thank you.
Great. I'm going to turn it over to Richard. Go for it, Richard.
Okay. Well, I hope you're all enjoying this tropical weather we're having. Very odd time of the year to have heat. We've had a record-breaking heat the last couple of days, and you never know. One of these days we may be able to grow some of these orchids outside here. Let's hope not soon. Anyway, Tropical Orchids for Your Home by me. And there's a little bit of information I have to give you. It's by myself, a certified master gardener with the VIMGA Association in partnership with the Vancouver Island Regional Library. Tropical Orchids for Your Home, 2006 Master Gardener Association and Vancouver Island Regional Library. Seminar is property of Vancouver Island Regional Library and the Vancouver Island Master Library, Master Gardener and the library. It's intended for educational purposes only. Commercial use of all or part of the seminar and its contents is prohibited without express written consent from Vancouver Island Master Gardener Association and Vancouver Island Regional Library. The information in the seminar is science-based and is accurate to the best of VIMGA's knowledge. Use of this seminar is at the sole discretion, responsibility, and liability of the user. Vancouver Island Master clubs, nonprofit organizations, private enterprise to teach and promote science-based, sustainable horticultural profit educational seminar. Okay. Well, yeah, there's orchids all over the world. And there's over 40 species here in BC itself. This discussion will focus mainly on easy carry orchids suitable for your home environment. I'm going to be covering topics as far as repotting, division, water, fertilizing, and optimum placement of your orchids. Now, there is a history to orchids being kept, and it started in the 19th century with Victorian England, Victorian Europe. And it was a high status sort of collections. They sent people all over the world to collect these orchids, and it turned into a massive lucrative craze in the 1800s. Collectors were from all over the world. They thousands of plants from the America and Asia, and oftentimes these plants died because nobody really had the knowledge to take care of these plants. And basically, they didn't know where these plants lived. They didn't know they lived in trees, some of them, or they couldn't live in soil. Now, here's some important factors to keep your orchids healthy. Temperature. Yeah, well, just like humans, they have a temperature range they like to be kept in, right? Illumination. Now, that doesn't mean bright light, it just means illumination. So they can't be kept in a dark corner, but they do need somewhere where, depending on their species and everything else or the type, they may need varying degrees of illumination. Humidity. Yep, they grow in humid rainforests, some of them also have a wet dry season. So in the summer, they're in a wet and humid, and in the wintertime, it could be a dry, sunny, moderately warm. Air movement. Yeah, air movement's important too. So you know how you want to get air circulating around plants so that they don't get these funguses and mildew on them? Well, that's because of air movement. Watering. Yep, they do need to be watered. And no, don't use an ice cube, please. Feeding. Yeah, well, guess what? A lot of these orchids live on trees. And where do they get their food from? It doesn't rain fertilizer. It rains poop, detritus, all kinds of things from the birds and from, let's say, rotted plant material and everything else. So that's where they get their nutrition. I'm going to be covering transplanting and not all orchids are transplanted the same way, so we will get into further depth and dividing your orchids. And again, some orchids are easily divided, others can't be. Seasonal change. Yep. There are some orchids that have definite growing seasons, like wet, dry, cool, damp, warmer during the summer. So, yeah, seasonal change is important. Where is an orchid found in its natural environment? Tropical or subtropical? Yeah, parts of the world. And these would be the tropical orchids. You've got orchids all over the world, but we're dealing with tropical and subtropical. Elevation. Yep. In the tropical regions of the world, at ocean level, you're warmer than you are up in the mountains. And the seasonal change, it changes as you get higher in the elevation and the temperatures get cooler. Seasonal climate. Again, seasonal climates change. Shade or part shade. Yeah, some orchids require more shade, others require more sun. None of them can take full sun. Okay, potting medium. Here's some pictures of some potting medium. This is right here is a bark mulch and perlite and sphagnum moss. These are pretty well your standard potting medium. And depending on the size of the pot, you would use slightly different potting mediums. There's a medium texture with some sphagnum moss in it. There's a fine texture with sphagnum moss and perlite. And then there's just sphagnum moss. And yes, you can plant in this, you can plant in that, and you can plant in sphagnum moss. There are some orchids that do much better in just sphagnum moss, some of the Vandas. And depending on the size of the pot, the fine texture with perlite and moss would work quite well. And that would be smaller pots where you want to keep more humidity or more moisture. And medium texture, I would say, would be for the larger rhodos, like the Phalaenopsis, the moth orchids that you would have at home and stuff like that. Potting and redivision and division. These orchids need repotting every few years to refresh the potting medium. And if you've ever looked at your potting medium and you can see it's gone dark or something, or there's maybe a fungus or white fungus growing it, it's time to change the potting medium. Before you repot though, you got to soak your bark mulch for at least a few days to rehydrate the bark mulch. Because if you just put dry bark mulch and pop an orchid in it, your orchid's not really going to do that well. So always do soak your bark mulch ahead of time. It's a great time to divide and assess the roots. Now, dividing, we'll get into that a little later, but assessing the roots. By assessing the roots, I'm talking about whether or not they're alive. Do they, when you pull on them, do they come apart with a central axle on it? That's a root that's dead. If you look at it and it's still spongy, or not spongy, but still firm, then the roots are good. Uh, Use an appropriate pot size. Yeah. So if you got a tiny little plant about this big and you put it in a pot that big, you think, well, I wouldn't have to repot it for years. Well, little do you know that a pot that size will keep your plant quite a bit, will keep more moisture in the soil so that you may end up getting your roots rotting and that kind of stuff, which is not good. And you could be asking for some funguses. A good time to do them is normally after flowering or in the spring. Okay, as I said before, the smaller the pot, the finer the bark mulch you require. And that's to keep well, how can I explain this? Smaller pots dry out faster with bigger medium. So if you put smaller medium with some sphagnum moss, it retains the moisture a little better. Repotting and division. Okay, I don't know if anybody's ever heard of the word kikis. Orchid kikis are baby clones that are grown on flower spikes of the parent orchid, primarily Phalaenopsis or Dendrobiums. Now, there is a rule of three. Sympodial orchids grow from a horizontal rhizome, Cattleyas and Midium oncidium. These, if you've looked at Cattleyas or some of the orchids, even some of the Dendrobium orchids, if you pull them out, you'll see that they have a horizontal rhizome, and from this rhizome rises new pseudobulbs. Monopodial orchids generally are not divided unless they produce kikis. Now that would be the Phalaenopsis. You don't often get well, you don't get a Phalaenopsis that will end up sending up other plants other than maybe on the flower spike as in a kiki. Uh, Dendrobium orchids are an exception because they grow kikis. They grow from rhizomes, so you can divide them there, or they develop kikis, so you can always take the kikis off the pseudobulbs and plant those up. Mind you, they're normally fairly small, so if you're going to do that, make sure you have a kiki that has at least an inch, maybe an inch and a half of roots, and not just one, but a few would definitely be a good idea. Placement in your home, north or east window. Why north or east? Uh, Morning sun is preferable to evening sun or south sun or south side sun because of the intensity and the heat. So a north or northeast window or an east window is normally best. Now we'll also talk about north windows as far as, let's say, placement, as far as temperature variations. North windows in the wintertime are cooler, so that's a perfect place to put your orchid in the wintertime, is up close to your window. And if you have a kitchen window that has a north window, wonderful, because your orchid will be happy there, or even in an east. Kitchen or bathroom, why? Humidity. And another reason, you're at least in the kitchen once a week, or in the bathroom a few times a day. So you can actually have a look at your orchid and see if it needs watering, see if it's growing anything new. Cooler at night, warmer in the daytime. And most plants do require that change in temper from night to day and day to night. I think I'd already stated this. Put them somewhere where they're not going to be forgotten and can be admired. So if you've got an orchid and it's flowering, why not put it on the dining room table or put it somewhere where somebody can see it? Like keep it in your kitchen during the when it's not flowering or in the bathroom, and then bring it out and let people admire it and admire that the fact that you can actually grow an orchid and it has grown and is reflowering. Watering. Okay, water only when dry. There's one exception to that, vandas. they need to be watered a little bit more so. They like being kept moist. So as I was saying before, Vandas, probably the best place for them is in sphagnum moss because the moss will keep it moist. And I'm finding that mine, I'm watering at least once a day or spraying at least once a day to keep the potting medium damp. Plunge in tepid water. Yeah, no ice cube, please. Never. No, no ice cube. Take the whole pot, put it in the sink, fill up the sink, and leave it in there for a few minutes. And then take it out and drain it. Tepid water, too. Not cold, not hot, tepid. Fertilize every second watering with a weak fertilizer. Be aware some orchids require a rest period. In other words, yeah, just like humans, except their rest period is probably a few months long. It's either the dry season or the cold season or something like that. Fertilizing. Dilute half strength 20-20-20, spring and summer. And that's what I use. I dilute it to probably even less than half strength, quarter strength, so that I'm not going to burn the roots at all. Monthly from fall to winter. So that would be fall to into winter. That's the winter fertilizing. Okay, fertilize every second watering during the summer, monthly in the fall and winter. Okay, there are orchids that require different temperatures. The cool range, 25 to 21, and that would be day temperatures. 10 to 15, and that would be nighttime temperatures. And the ones that actually do that would be the cymbidiums, the Masdevallias, the Draculas, Collagenes, the Odontoglossiums, the Miltonianopsis, Zygopetallums, and Cerohopetallums. And if I didn't pronounce some of those words right, shoot me. Cymbidiums, beautiful flowers, lovely flowers, and they last for months. And these are the ones that like the cool temperatures. So cool temperatures in the winter, which is great. You can keep it up maybe 5 to 10 degrees. And I've heard some people keep them outside even on a slight frost. Odontoglossiums is another cool weather one. Pseudopetallums or bulbophyllums. Coleogenes. Intermediate temperatures 21 to 28 during the day, 13 to 18 at night. And these would be Lalias, Brassias, Encyclias, Bulbophyllums, Oncidiums, Cataleyias, Epidendrums, and Philopediums. Some. These are some of the examples. Beautiful flowers. Oh, intermediate. Oh, did I go the wrong way? Oncidiums, Brassias, Cataleias. I got this in the way. Encyclias, Epidendrums, Bulbophyllums. Some of these bulbophyllums, you wouldn't believe the smell of them. They're so good. Others smell like dead meat. So be careful the ones you choose. Palladidiums. Warm temperature. Now, these are probably the ones that you would do much better with in the house because the houses are all about that temperature, right? 23 to 32 during the day, 18 to 21. So the cool or the intermediates and these warm temperatures. Uh, Phalaenopsis, Philopalladiums, Angraecums, Anagraecums, Dendrobiums, Pragmatopediums, and Miltonias. Pretty flowers. And who knew? Some of these Phalaenopsis are quite fragrant, some of the species. And they bred out a lot of the fragrance through just the cultivars that they came up with. They came up with more color but less smellies. Dendrobiums, beautiful flowers, again fragrant. Brassavolias. Now, light is also important. There's three general intensities. Now, as we were talking about before, east and north windows, so that would be the Phalaenopsis, Draculas, Phallopalladiums, Masdevillias, and Miltoniopsis. Medium window, and that would be a west or southeast. Certain Oncidiums, I have three of them, just beautiful fragrance. Intergenetics, Epididrums, Anagraeciums, Miltonias. Hi, Oncidiums, Intergenetics, Catalea alliance, Dendrobiums, and uh, Mandarius alliance. And these are the low lights. Miltonias, you got to smell them. Beautiful. Not that hard to grow either. Another fragrant one. Oncidiums, Catalea. Isn't a beautiful Catalea? Again, a lot of these, some of the cultivars are very fragrant also. Highlight Dendrobiums, Vandas, humidity. Critical for most orchids. Why? Because they grow on trees. So you're not going to find an orchid growing on a tree with zero humidity. Basically, it's got to be at least 50%. Supplemental humidity. That's one of the reasons why I said a bathroom or kitchen would be great because the humidity in those two rooms is normally higher and it lasts longer during the day. So it'd be perfect um, place for them. Also, you can put them on a tray with pebbles and just keep the pebbles moist, which will help you keep the humidity up. And again, very important to add air circulation, especially if you got a group of them together and it's cool and damp. Perfect environment for. Okay, air movement. Again, we were talking about air movement because of the air movement. It's more like their natural environment. It mimics the breeze experience in the wild. Eliminates cold and hot pockets. If you have them growing in your greenhouse, well, guess what? Your greenhouse, the air is always stratified in there so that it's cooler at the bottom and warmer at the top. So some fans in your greenhouse to move the air around is always a wonderful idea. Uh, Dry leaves, it dries the leaves. So if you spray your orchids, like mist them, it doesn't give, you're not going to have the mist on them all the time. It'll actually dry quicker, and then you're not going to be inviting some pathogens onto the leaves. It helps reduce disease and promotes stronger growth. and a gentle breeze, not a hurricane. So just be careful with how much air movement you're giving them. Okay, be regular. Regular in the winter would be maybe once a week. Regular in the summer could be every 2 or 3 days. So be regular. Know when your pot is dry, right? What I do is I put my orchids in a clear plastic pot and I put that in a clay pot. So the clay pot actually keeps the humidity around orchid, right? Because I missed it. And then you can pull the plant out and have a look at the roots. So you can check the roots for rot or whatever. And you can also check to see if it's dry. Another thing is, if you've just watered your orchid and it is in a clear pot or something, you can lift it and you can see the weight, how heavy it is. Now, if you let it dry out a few days and then pick it up, you'll see there's a difference in weight. So that would be a pretty good indication that it needs watering and the weight of the pot and the medium. Uh, Water early in the day, not after in the evening when the plant's been sitting dry all day. So water in the morning, always a good idea. Avoid tap water, use rainwater. Now, why would we say this? Well, uh, we're lucky here in Qualcomm, our water is fairly soft. But the other parts of the island, the water is not quite as soft. And you would get a lot of calcium buildup on the leaves. Like if you've seen those little white spots on your leaves, like watermarks, that you can also build up quite a bit change, alter the pH. Now, these orchids grow in trees, so they're watered with neutral water, right? If you're watering them with a hard water, well, then you're going to have more difficulty with it. Avoid tap water. Overwatering is worse than under. Yes. So again, check the weight of the pot. Is it high? Is it heavy? Is it light? If you've got it in a plastic pot, can you pull the plastic pot out of the surrounding pot, and can you see the health of the roots? Okay, feeding. Feed regularly. Yes, even in the wintertime. Uh, every 2 weeks in the summer with a high nitrogen, so that's that 20-20-20, but diluted. Once a month in through the fall. Through spring, use a high phosphorus that will induce flowering. Uh, Flush the plants with water. Uh, I did a presentation on house plants a while back, and on houseplants, you get that crusty buildup around the pot. Well, that's the calcium deposits depositing on the pot itself. Now, if you get that calcium depositing on the bark mulch, there's going to be some issues. Again, it's not going to be a neutral, it'll be more alkali. So you want to make sure that you flush your plants with water. Now, what I used to do is put the pot in the sink uh, and let the water come up right up to the top of the pot. Take it out, let it drain, and then flush it with tap water, and then fertilize. So I always flushed my orchids with tepid water. Uh, and yeah, lo and behold, orchids are not heavy feeders. Again, they live in trees for the most part. And they don't really need a lot of um, fertilizing, basically, again, because they only get their dead insects, bird poop, any detritus that falls on the orchid itself. Now, orchids for your home. Start with easy grown orchids, Phalaenopsis and some dendrobiums. Why? Because if you can grow these too, guess what? You can grow most orchids. It's a good plant to start with. They're cheap, a dime a dozen. Well, it used to be a dime a dozen, but there's always orchids at like a grocery store. Sometimes you get orchids for an anniversary or something. If you can get them to reflower, great. You're starting towards orchid husbandry. East or north windows are best. Now, if you have an east or north windows, that'd be great. If you don't, if you have a west or south, don't put it right in the window. Put it away from the window. Put it like, at least 4 or 5 feet away. They'll still get a lot of light, but it won't be that bright light on them. Best kitchens and bathrooms. We already went through this because of the humidity issue. When you're finding out about these orchids, okay, Google them. You can get the name of the orchid, Google it, and there are some accredited websites like the American Orchid Society, the Canadian Orchid Congress. These are all great websites that give you countless information on how to take care of your orchid as far as its needs, its dislikes, and all this. Accredited workshops are information websites. Do your research. Okay. If you buy an orchid from, or you get given an orchid, if you don't want to grow it, fine. Let it flower and then throw it in the dustbin or give it to somebody who might appreciate it and have it reflower. So do your research. And that's the biggest thing. Do your research. Some of my orchids, top left-hand corner, that's Phalaenopsis orchids, and this is one of the orchids that is not supposed to send offset, but it did. And God knows how it did it, but it's the only one I've ever had, Phalaenopsis, that did this. Uh, Below it is Boothby Venice. It's a Cattleya type, very fragrant. There's an Insidium. Oops, go back. There's an Insidium orchid. That's one of the Twinkle series, very fragrant, easy to grow, and loves bright and direct sun. And there's another Oncidium there. That is Lady Trellifor, which is a larger Oncidium orchid, and again, very, very fragrant. And then this next one is a Dendrobium quinquennium, which is an orchid from Australia. And it has two varieties. It has this pink variety, and it also has an alba. Now, I've never had problem getting this one to flower. It's one of those orchids that you can leave in the greenhouse at 10 degrees in the wintertime or even cooler. And just, it doesn't really need a lot. Basically, it's an orchid that they find growing on rock outcroppings in Australia, Southeast Australia. Southeast? Yeah, Southeast. Uh, there's another clone of that, which is the Alba, which is a bit more difficult to get to flower. Okay, well, all of you know that I got told no more plants in the house. So I built myself there it is, my mini greenhouse for my orchid collection. It's on wheels, it's got heat, it's got light, it's got everything in there, and I don't have to bother my partner with orchids all over the place anymore. And very happy partner. This was at our old house, and I had a tent where I kept all my orchids in the basement, and I was able to control the humidity, control the light, and everything else in there. And as you can see, I did very well. They all did flower quite well. This is a rescue. Yep, a rescue. Uh, I was an on long-term care nurse for many years, and people would bring in these orchids and they would leave them there for their loved ones. And after it flowered, it just sat there. And the family member would come in and throw it in the garbage, and I'd go in the garbage and pick it up and take it home. So at one time, I had about 15 of those at home. And I've slowly weaned my collection a bit. And then here's another orchid. It's a Phalaenopsis again. And I think that's about it. All done. I'd like to give a very heartfelt thanks to Chuck Morin from Paramount Orchids, who I got all these photos from. And I do I really, truly appreciate the time that I'm able to spend there volunteering 3 hours twice a week. American Orchid Society, a very good place for information references. Central Island, Vancouver Island Orchid Society, which Ida's husband is the president. Canadian Orchid Congress. And yes, believe it or not, Sunset Western Garden Book has a bit about orchids in it. And they give some information on temperature and climate and basically give you some general information about it. And that's it. Thank you so much for watching my presentation. And oh, I guess I was a little short on time.
I have an initial question. How long ago were you told no more plants in the house?
When we moved into the new house a year and a half ago.
Seemed like a good time for a clean break. I understand.
So now that's why I got a bigger greenhouse and I have an orchid greenhouse.
Excellent. Cheryl's asking, will the slide information be available? We will have the video afterwards. Is there anything specific that you feel like you need the link for or a name or anything, Cheryl? And now is the time. There's no other questions in the Q&A. We don't want Richard to feel
Well, we can talk about
like we're
whatever
not
anybody wants to
interested.
talk about.
Yeah. When you say slide presentation, we do post the video. Um, but pe sounds like people would like to just see the slides. Is that something you'd be comfortable doing, Richard?
Sharing it, it's actually copyright, right?
Okay, but
Because,
you're welcome to pause the video.
yeah,
Yeah.
there was a question there. Oh, no, it was up the chat.
Karen says you have a wonderful collection.
Oh, thank you. Well, I've been collecting them for years, and I just sort of walked into it. As Darby said, I've been enamored with the climate on the coast for so many years, and it just became a natural progression to get into uh, more plants that you just don't see every day, right? And volunteering is a great idea, especially if you want more information on orchids and stuff like that, or join an orchid society or the Central Vancouver Island Orchid Society. Very good places to get information. If you go to their sales, they have a sale in the spring. Is it the spring or February? I think it is, where they at North Town Mall or North Place Mall in
Yeah, Nanaimo
Nanaimo.
Northtown Center. It used to be Rutherford Mall for
Yeah, and they
those of
have a
you who are well.
lovely orchid sale there, and all the presenters are so it's like a gardener. They always want to give you more information, or here's a new plant, and guess what? It's smelly and it's beautiful. The flower is this big, so they're very into it. They're enthusiastic.
I'm
Yeah,
just trying to grab the Central Island Orchid Society.
yeah.
There we go. Okay, we'll just drop
And
that into the chat there too, so you can grab
right.
that. And if you're because Michael says he's going to be retiring. He was kind of looking for a new thing to do when he retires. I know a Michael who also likes orchids, so you could be a second or even third Michael who's in this group
Yeah, there's a
for a
lot of
useful
people.
garden.
Michael says to everyone, I have a greenhouse, will garden. Oh, we have one question in Q&A.
Yeah, and we've that was
Oh, that was
yeah
Cheryl, and
about
she wanted to review what was
just be able to
taught today.
review.
Yeah.
So two people have put questions in the chat. Emma was asking, she said, my last orchid, attempt number 4, I feel like she's not alone in this, died while it was still flowering. Have you ever seen that happen?
Yeah, root rot. Very
Oh,
oftentimes it's root rot. In other words, they overwatered it, overwatered it, overwatered it, and eventually the roots just rot. So it's really important not to overwater it. Underwatering it is better than overwatering it. And as far as watering is concerned, again, check the weight of the pot. Look at the medium. If you've just got it in an orchid pot, put it in a clear plastic pot so you can at least have a look at the roots without having to yank the whole thing out of the pot to begin with. So they can be temperamental, but given it's like anything else, like feeding your children. or, or all of this. If you're going to be into orchids, well then start again with the easier care ones. And if you can keep those going, not a problem. Yeah, but overwatering is the biggest issue. Once a couple times a week during the summer, and maybe once a week during the winter time is probably the best. Most garden centers have clear orchid pots that were, yeah, they do.
we had Audrey was saying, I have an orchid rescue and wonder where can I find resources? Can I show it to you? I was late to the Zoom and looking forward to the presentation. Sorry about the mix up with the link, folks. I've been going back and making
Right.
the
So
Eventbrite added a button that I didn't know
yeah,
about, so it didn't link to anything.
if you want to send me an email at bernier_richard@hotmail.com and send me a photo of the orchid and maybe the roots too, if you can manage that.
That was at hotmail.com, Richard.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
last name underscore first name.
yeah. Last name underscore first name hotmail.com.
Great.
Yeah, I don't expect an answer from me right away because I'm fairly busy with everything I'm doing, but I'll get to you probably within a few days.
Unfortunately, we can't allow your video because of the webinar setup of the Zoom thing. So sorry, Demina. Otherwise, that would be fun.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
there's no way of doing it. Yeah, if your orchid isn't doing well, then and it's drying out or the leaves are becoming brown and really limp, on the Phalaenopsis, it's underwatering. If the orchid is like just failing, it goes mushy, then it's overwatering. How do you grow hardy orchids outside? Oh yeah, there's countless of hardy orchids. There's what Strelitzia, it's the Japanese ground orchid, and they grow outside in the soil. There's lady slippers, those are all orchids, right? You can grow an orchid outside, and probably the best if you wanted to grow something outside like that in a pot, in a shaded spot, would be Cymbidium, right? And you can put those out in probably about 2 or 3 degree weather under cover, and they'd be fine.
How do you spell
And
it, Richard?
Cymbidiums, oh, geez,
Or
spelling
Ida,
is
do you mind
never
dropping that in the chat maybe? As a honorary Orchid Society expert.
Cymbidiums. CybidIums.
IUMS.
Yeah, and those would be the larger cymbidiums. There are some smaller ones that are actually more tropical. And they're the tinier ones and they are fragrant. So if you want one that you can put upside, it would be the Japanese cymbidiums.
Japanese ones. Okay, so that was Donna's question. Um, Michael's asking, do you keep any of your orchids in Wardian cases?
No, the closest I got to an Edwardian case is that movable greenhouse that I have that my partner told me I had to build.
Can you tell those of us who are not totally sure what this case would be?
Yeah, it's actually rolling baker's rug. You can
But
get them at
prettier and more
Costco. They're
expensive?
$149,
Oh,
and they've got you can get them with rollers on them. They've got adjustable shelves on them and everything else. And what I did is I just enclosed it in plexiglass or twin wall plexiglass and screwed it together and put doors on it. And then I was able to hang some lights at the top and mid. So I've got lights on a timer, and I also have a heater in there so that I move that whole thing into my garage in the wintertime. So right now it's in the greenhouse because the temperatures are great in the greenhouse. I don't have to worry about nighttime temperatures or daytime temperatures other than cooling. And in the wintertime, it goes into the garage because it's anywhere from 10 to 15 degrees in there in the wintertime so that I don't have to heat it. If it does get cold in there, there's a supplemental little heater that I'll actually bump the temperature up to 15. And there's two fans that blow the air around, so I don't have any hot or cold pockets. And there's no sitting air. Yeah, IKEA does have a glass cabinet, and yes, you can use it for orchids. And I've got a friend that actually does that, has used it.
how big is this glass cabinet as an IKEA fan?
I think it's about this big. It's like a square display cabinet, and they come in
Oh,
different sizes too. So I don't know if you could actually add heat to it, but you could actually have it in your home for keeping maybe the humidity higher or something in it. But again, don't put it in a south window. And if you're going to keep the doors closed, get some air circulating in it, right? It lives in my dining room. Who's that?
that's Ida.
Oh, it lives in the living room. Well, I wish mine could live in the living room, but that's not going to ever happen.
Forbidden.
Verboten.
Well, you do have your palm.
Well, hey, I've got my palm and I've got a few other things. Some Hoyas. Yeah. Ask me what I'm not into. Hoyas, eh, cactuses, succulents, orchids, clivias. Lots of clivias.
Do you find, are there any similarities in the care between your orchids and your cacti?
Yeah. Cactuses do require a cool, dry winter. Right, who would know? Yeah. And in the summer, they do appreciate being watered and kept warm. So again, they come from a climate where they have differences in day and night, length, temperatures during the day, and seasonal.
So, we have orchid cactuses. Do you have any of those?
I do have orchid cactuses. Again, I keep them in the greenhouse, and orchid cactuses like a cool winter. Who knew? Mine are just flowering in the greenhouse right now because as it gets warmer, the flower buds set. And yeah, there's been one in particular that started flowering a couple of months ago and is just finishing right now. It's a double pink one or double red. Now I've got a pink one flowering, and I've also got
Oh,
a
cool.
yellow one. There's a fishbone cactus I have. The orchid cactus is two different orchid cactuses.
I got as a surprise gift, I went on Facebook Marketplace and got a cutting for Queen of the Night orchid cactus. So
Right.
this like sad little paddle or two arrived in an envelope, and the plant, like when it flowers like as big as your head, and the flower lasts like 1 day. It's
Well,
really delicate. You don't like walk too hard around it, and it's
these orchids flower
a
at
lot of
night.
fun.
A lot of orchids flower at night, or a lot of
Yeah.
cactuses flower at night because to attract their pollinators. And bats are probably one of the biggest pollinators of some of those cactuses, right? And if you look at orchids, their flower is has evolved for a certain type of insect to be able to crawl in there and fertilize it, right? So yeah, it's really phenomenal, the intricacies of life's web, how interconnected everything is.
Kind of fun having a bit wacky plants, isn't
It is fun. I love it.
it?
It's great fun. And, when I retired, one of the things they told me, I went to a retirement seminar, and they said to stay young, keep yourself active, do a hobby that you really are just right into it. That's one thing that you've always wanted to do and never had time. And gardening, you're social. You have to be social. You have to be a lifelong learner, right? And it keeps you busy, which is wonderful. Dwayne can cook and bake and do whatever, clean the house. I'm a garden guy. So, Ida, how many orchids do you guys have?
Last time I counted personally was 140. And at that point, they moved outside. I had
Oh,
140 in an 1,800 square foot house. I had in my living room, dining room, everywhere but the bathrooms. Had in the
And that's a good
garage.
spot for them.
if you got a
As
window.
we now know, in the garage.
Yeah, it becomes quite the hobby. And for
It's a
me,
lifestyle choice that he
yeah,
made
it
for
definitely
you.
is. And you know how I am enamored with fragrance.
Hmm.
A lot of my orchids are fragrant, which I love. A lot of my rhodos are fragrant. What all my Yeah, it's if it doesn't have fragrance, then I really have to think about it. It's got to be like a large flower or really pretty or something has to be different with it.
Ida, do you have any pets? Karen is saying you clearly don't have a cat.
No, no
No,
cats,
no cats for Richard.
no
Oh, we
cats.
do have a cat, a well-behaved cat. So you just have to get a
E-
different kind of cat, is what I'm hearing. You always know that kind of stuff when you get animals.
Right. We have a bit of something to tell you. One of our master gardeners, who was actually going to do the seaside gardening, has hasn't been able to do it. So I think we're going to postpone that
Yeah, due to
for
a
this year.
pretty awful life thing that
We
happened.
had a fire at his house, which is not
Yeah,
great, and he's been very, uh, yeah, it's been difficult for him.
that would be,
So we've
yeah.
canceled the seaside gardening for this year, and we will represent it next year.
Yeah, so we just found out about that, so we'll send out a cancellation message on Eventbrite. And my sincere apologies on the Eventbrite mix-up. They've added a button for the online event that I didn't realize they had, and then of course it went nowhere because I hadn't put in the link. So I've spent the presentation gazing at the beautiful orchids and then going back and putting the links in. So yeah, my sincere apologies for the difficulty in getting here, and congratulations to all of you for being here because it wasn't as easy as
Oh,
it could have been. But
Wendy, are you going to do it then?
oh, Wendy's going to do the seaside garden one. Great, thank
Oh,
you,
wonderful.
thank you,
Good.
Wendy. So
Okay.
we'll keep you everybody signed up. I'm glad I wasn't too
Yeah.
quick on that.
Okay. I didn't know if Wendy was going to actually go ahead. I hadn't heard from her. So that's
Great.
wonderful. Thank you.
Yes, you can, Karen. We'd love to have you. So we'll
Wow.
send out the video for this session too in the
Wendy,
link
that's
for.
not a problem that you're an intern. Not a problem at all. You have clinic hours to get, and I believe you probably have 65 clinic hours in the next 2 years to do. So this will actually give you some clinic hours. 3 hours for, or 4 hours for the preparation, 2 hours for education, and an hour and a half to present in clinic hours. So yeah.
So we've got quite a few previous sessions too. So if you're interested in other tropicals, because Richard had a different presentation on tropicals, or things like compost or growing a few garden veggies, if you haven't done that before, there's lots of different videos following this format by different master gardeners on
Yeah,
all those
you
topics.
can go to the Vancouver Island Regional Library site and they're all there, or you can go to YouTube
Yep, and
and
I just drop
search
it in the chat.
Vancouver Island Regional Library. Do search for virtual gardening
Yeah.
seminars.
If you go to virl.bc.ca/gardening, that gets you pretty close, and then you can register for upcoming sessions and see the previous ones. There's also a little page about our service areas seed libraries.
Right. And if you go to VIMGA site,
Yeah,
which is Vancouver Island Master Gardeners Association, they have links there to some of the old presentations.
great.
So, any
Well,
other questions? Any questions whatsoever?
they can be about other things if you'd like. Well,
Who
thanks
can?
for being here, Audrey. Really appreciate all of your enthusiasm.
Yeah, thank you so
Because
much.
it would be weird to talk about plants into the internet without anybody watching, right, Richard?
Well, when we at 6:30 we saw there was nobody there, we thought, what do we do now? We could either just do it, do the presentation and just post it, or we could, thank God we have Darby who was able to fix it for us. Please
Oh,
repeat your email address.
I think we just did. Oops,
Yeah,
so
if you
copy
just
paste it
go
again.
up a little further, you'll
Yeah, I'll try
see.
to put it in one more time.
Okay.
Oh, I didn't get it.
I, The thing is, though, unless I have some pretty good pictures of the roots and everything else, it's kind of hard to tell what's happening with it. So if you can sort of give me an idea of what a, like if it's limp, well, then I can tell you what it is. Or if it's burned, like there's scorch marks in it, then it's sunburn, right? So there's certain things I can tell, and there's certain things I can't tell unless you pull it out of the pot itself. Oh, it's blooming. Good. Okay, well, should we call it a night?
Great. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming. Thank you for Ida for being here for her
Thank you
first
so
time.
much, Ida.
And of course, to Richard for sharing your passion and knowledge about orchids. You've got a lot of things you know a lot about. You're constantly impressing us.
Hey, lifelong learner.
Yeah,
Remember
we
that, you
understand.
retirees, don't sit and watch the TV. Not a good way to go. I'm
Unless
gonna
it's a
go.
webinar about gardening, in which
Yeah,
case,
true
go
enough.
ahead.
Yeah, you can watch us.